Welcome to the David Dean Show, a weekly look at West Georgia Wolves football, brought to you by Systems and Methods. SMI, a proud supporter of West Georgia Wolves football.
Ball and Willie on first down. Play action, a little boot, rolls right, dumps it. Turner catch. Taylor to the 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown! Taylor Turner, the bootleg to the tight end. Byron Slack played from 24 years ago, and it still works.
And hello again, everybody, with head coach David Dean. Mitch Gray back with you with the David Dean Show after a 7th victory on the season, 7 wins, 0 defeats, and a lot of fun Saturday night at Blue Wahoo Stadium in Pensacola. Coach Dean, first thing I noticed, the Wolves were ready to play football.
We were very, very proud of our players. They traveled very well. You know, you always talk about going down on a business trip, and that's exactly what they did. They went down with one purpose in mind, and that was to win that game and play a very physical football game, and they did that. Really proud of them. You know, that's a good football team that we play. We're probably not 20 points better than they are, but we were that night.
It's interesting. You mentioned the physical part of it. West Florida, a team that really challenges you. If you're not physical, it's hard to stand in with those guys.
Well, there's no question, and that's what we had harped to our guys all week. You know, let's take our physicality to them, and we knew it was going to be a heavyweight fight. There was going to be some punches thrown each way. They made some great plays. We made some great plays. And it was just a matter of who was going to make more of the great plays throughout the night. And fortunately for us, we were able to do that.
At some point, we'll talk about records and milestones. I want to talk about offensive line. Devontae Jackson had a monster game, the 4th biggest rushing game in school history. You don't do that without the big Purdy's doing their job.
Well, there's no question. And that was a good defensive front we faced. And, you know, we were talking when we were watching the film on Sunday as a staff, how many defensive linemen they kept rolling in, and that was a benefit to them for playing at home. They could dress more people, and they kept bringing in defensive linemen every 2 or 3 snaps, and our guys just kept holding up against that depth. And they made some plays against the run, but for the most part, I thought our guys pushed them around a little bit, knocked them backwards, did a great job of climbing to the next level. And then, you know, obviously, Vaught did a great job of finding the holes, making people miss sometimes when we didn't get the great blocks, but using some physicality in his runs, but also doing a great job with his spin moves and making people miss in the secondary.
You told us on the post-game radio show Saturday night about putting the game on his back and the offensive line's back. They answered.
They did. You know, when I went to Vaught before the game, he was sitting on the bench, and I said, this is going to be a night that you're going to have, and you're going to remember for a long time. You're going to play very well, and we're going to ride your back. And he accepted that challenge. Our offensive line accepted that challenge. And I was really proud of the way that they played. We controlled the clock a good bit in the first half and kept their offense off. I think we had 2 long drives to start the game, which was really beneficial for us. It kept our defense off the field and kept them fresh, especially with the outstanding receivers and running backs that they had. They're loaded with skilled people, and for us to keep those guys off the field was really beneficial for us.
And in turn, you lined up against a really good running football team, and they couldn't run.
They couldn't, and that's what hurt us last year. Both times that we played them, they were second and short over and over and over, and it was from the run game, and we stuffed their run and made them a little bit more one-dimensional. They weren't able to use their play-action pass like they like to use sometimes, and they kind of resorted to throwing the ball deep and throwing some underneath stuff off the quick game. And we were able to come up and make tackles. They did hit a couple of big plays, but I thought for the most part our secondary did an outstanding job staying with them. Good job in coverage, and when the ball was coming into their lap, we got our hands up and knocked the ball away.
And tonight we didn't get a ton of pressure on Vaughn, but our guys kept coming after him.
Well, they're a very good offensive line. In the same way, they play a lot of guys up front, roll by series, roll a lot of offensive linemen in. We know we never did get a lot of pressure on there, but I will take that because we stopped the run. You know, we were very good against the run, and they did not get very much. I mean, there was a lot of times they were 2nd and 9, 2nd and 8, over and over and over, and that was what was successful. But I think the thing that was really the key in the game was the 3 4th down stops that we made. When we made those stops, those were huge momentums. And then obviously the blocked field goal that we had was big as well, and that's all a credit to that defensive line.
After we turned that over there and made that stop in the third quarter there, the big play, Fotu just eats up that side of the line of scrimmage. I thought the momentum of the football game, everything turned in our favor right there.
It did. I think you could see a little bit from their point that they were a little unsure of what was going on. It was like, hey, what's happening here? Why can't we take these guys? Why can't we take over the game? And our guys weren't going to let them do that. And I think they started doing some things defensively a little bit different. They started bringing a little bit more pressure. And Willie did a good job of distributing the football. And when they were bringing pressure, if we creased the line and got into the secondary, we were going to start getting those big plays, and that's exactly what we did with Vaught running the football.
Good time to talk about milestones. You mentioned Devontae Jackson, school rushing record, career rushing record, and doggone near a school single game record. He was only 10 yards short. If we'd have needed him for one more drive, you had him, but the game was in hand by that time.
Well, the game was in hand, and he probably, if we'd run the ball a little bit more, he probably would have broken that. I had no idea that he broke it until I was on the bus ride back home to Carrollton, Georgia, and I found that out. So I didn't have an opportunity to congratulate him in the locker room after the game in front of the team, so I feel kind of bad about that. But, that's him. He never mentioned it. He never said anything about it, and it was just like business as usual. Hey, Coach, what's next? What are we going to do next? But really proud of the way that he played. He like I said, I challenged him before the game when he was sitting on the bench right before kickoff, and he accepted that challenge. And that's the way he is. He's a great team player, and he loves to play the game. He's got a lot of passion for being successful, and that's the reason he's having the season that he's having.
Well, that running game set up, it seemed so much the other night. You had the long pass play early to Malik in the ball game, and the touchdown to Taylor Turner. That's been a very good play the 2-3 times that I can recall us running it here recently. And Taylor was out there, and it looked like a punt return the picket line our receivers had set up for him.
We did. I think they blew a coverage. We had a post wheel with Taylor coming underneath, and we had two guys running with the post, and LP was running down the sideline untouched, and he was the guy that ended up making the picket line after we threw the ball to Taylor. He made the one block that sprung him the rest of the way, and I don't think I've ever seen Taylor run that fast. He turned some jets on right there. It looked good, but it was a very well executed play. We had it again later in the game, and their outside linebacker did a great job of knocking it down. But that was a big play that put us up 13-0 at that time, and was good for us. This is something that we had practiced and felt like we were going to have an opportunity to make a big play on that.
That was a fun atmosphere there the other night. We took the crowd out a lot when they got the one score, and they had some other moments. But pretty much our guys seemed to thrive playing in your yard.
Well, I think it was great. I think that was a great atmosphere when you pulled into the stadium, when our buses came through, and you saw all that was going on, all the activities, the loud music that was going on, and all the people walking around, and obviously some of the gestures that we got as we were going by the West Florida fans. That was exciting for us. It got our guys fired up. I think the best thing that happened to us is we brought a lot of folks to the game, which was good to see, but there was a lot of West Florida fans behind our bench, and they kept egging us on, and we got to thank them. They didn't do anything but just continue to keep us fired up the whole night. But all the West Georgia fans that came did a great job. They were loud. And at one time it was very, very quiet in there because all that were cheering were the West Georgia fans.
Well, the folks in green behind our bench got up to leave. It was kind of nice.
It was nice. And that's what you like to see when you go on the road and play. You like to see the home fans leave and when you have the game in hand, and that's exactly what happened. We gained the momentum in the game, like you said, in that third quarter, and I think at that time they realized that they were not going to come back and win, and the crowd kind of dispersed a little bit.
A couple of individual notes. Willie Candler didn't have his biggest stat game. He ran the game awfully well. We had the one pick, but otherwise he was Willie again, had the touchdown we talked about, and over 5,000 career yards.
Well, he did. We didn't ask him to throw the ball as much as we usually do because our run game was so good, and they're good in the secondary, and they made some plays on us. It's just unfortunate. He had the drop early in the game. Malik had a touchdown catch, and he dropped it, and then he throws the great ball, the deep ball, right after the blocked field goal, and Malik catches it and just falls down. And that's 2 big plays right off the bat that he's probably got 2 touchdowns in. And we're quickly up 14-0 in the first quarter. But he never panicked. And, I thought he made some great throws. He made some great decisions in our run game, great checks. He played a typical Willie game. He does not do anything to hurt you. He does everything he can to help our football team win. And for the 7th straight week, he has done that.
Also, we can't let pass a couple of individual honors as well. 2 special young men. We talked about Devontae Conference Offensive Player of the Week, Corey Rogers Defensive Player of the Week.
Well, and 2 more deserving guys, I don't know that there are. Vaught, again, was a big key in that ball game as well as the offensive line. It really should have gone to 6 guys, the 5 guys in Vaught. But Vaught, I'm sure, will give those guys the credit, which is what he did in the locker room after the game. But he deserved that. I thought he played exceptionally well and made a lot of big plays for us. But Corey Rogers, the big interception there in the game, and then several stops. Of course, our defensive line, like I said, played very well. But when they did break and they flow, bounced to the outside, Corey's there and made a lot of big plays. He made a lot of stops in between the tackles, and that's his game. I really think he played an outstanding football game, really for the 3rd straight week.
Coach, I know this football team with big goals to make a long run. 7 games into it, you're where you want to be right now.
Well, we are. We can't be any better than 7-0, and that's where we wanted to be this time of the year. We've got a heck of a game coming up this weekend, and it was a great win for us on the road. It was a great atmosphere playing in front of the largest crowd that they've ever had, and to win the game the way that we won the game is great, but now we got to put that behind us. There's more work to be done. We got to stay hungry. We got to stay focused. We are not where we need to be. We can very easily finish the season 7-4, and that would be a disappointment. So we want to play very well this week and get to 8-0.
There are a lot of things sitting there. That goal to be 8-0, a defending conference champion, a program that's beat us the last 2 years, an old rival and a lot of respect for West Alabama, and you got all the old grads coming back into town. I know that doesn't figure into your preparation, but it's sitting there as well. This is a big week.
This is a big week. Homecoming's always a little bit of a distraction for a football team because there's so many things going on. But it's going to be great to see a lot of former players come back, a lot of alumni come back, and hopefully we'll have a lot of guys that will come cheer these guys on. And they deserve it. They're playing really, really good football, and they're playing an exciting brand of football. And it doesn't have anything to do with us as coaches. It's these guys. It's their football team, and the passion that they're taking out there on the field each and every week is something special. And they're doing a lot of special things, and hopefully they're going to have an opportunity to play in front of a big home crowd at some point or another.
And Brett Gilliland's bringing a good team into town.
Well, they're a very good football team, and I think they had 2 losses on the year. They lost to Valdosta State, and they lost to North Greenville on the last 10 seconds on a long drive. Beat Delta State last week, made a great interception at the end of the game to preserve that win. They faced a lot of injuries, which is what they did not have last year until the end of the year after they had played us. And I think they're starting to get some of those guys back now. But, the scores, you look at them, and they're not overly impressive scores, but they're wins. And they're doing it with guys that they really shouldn't be playing with because they're not playing with their starters. And they're starting to get those guys back now. And they're a very dangerous group. And there's a lot of pride in that program. Brett's a great coach. He's got a great staff, and those kids are very, very athletic. And they're going to come in here with something to prove, no doubt about it.
Sounds like maybe 2 hungry football teams on Rayland Field Saturday.
Well, I certainly hope that we are. We're going to do something a little bit different this week. We're going to wear all white for homecoming. Our guys wanted to do that, so it's going to be pretty exciting. And, our guys were hoping that a lot of folks would be in the stands and wearing white, as kind of a whiteout type thing. But, the big thing is it doesn't matter what you wear. It doesn't matter what you do. What you have to do is take care of the fundamentals: blocking, tackling, throwing, catching, and being great in the kicking game and offense and defense. That's what's going to win the game. So no matter how many people are in the stands, no matter what we're wearing, we still got to line up against the University of West Alabama and play a very good football game.
Want to have a note for fans. There are a lot of activities about the whiteout and much more that will be going on. If you'll check the website at uwgsports.com through the week leading up to the game. You'll get all the details, and we're going to have a Big Blue Friday coming up this week as well. That is a big thing as well for our fans and supporters around the area. Then, 2 o'clock kickoff Saturday. Be in the stands, be there a little early and yell for these guys. All they can do is what they've done. 7 straight wins for the West Georgia Wolves and another big challenge against our second oldest rival coming in here on Saturday afternoon. Coach Dean, thanks for being with us, and go Wolves.
Thank you.
That's the David Dean Show today, and I'm Mitch Grave with head coach David Dean. We'll see you Saturday on Rayland Field.